Welcome to Going Through Health with Gordy and Zed,
where wellness gets a fun twist. I'm Gordy Jenkins, a natural foods entrepreneur, and with me is Dr. Zed DeBout, a resident trained Stanford MD. We are former college swim teammates turned best friends, and now your guide to this crazy world of health trends and fitness hacks with a focus on getting the science right. Get ready for a wild ride. This is Going Through Health with Gordy and Zed. Today, Zed and I will stink it up with a little body odor episode, exploring some of the causes of BO, as well as some potential remedies from history and today. Then, no whammies, it's the GTH Quiz Show. Stay tuned to find out if Zed will stink or swim. And, as always, we wrap up with the fast fire questions. Zed, what do you have for us this week? What weirdness have you encountered while going through health?
Well, this is something I didn't see in time for our magnesium episode. I saw it as soon as we were done, pretty much, but also didn't see it because I'm not on TikTok or whatever. But apparently, there's a thing called the Sleepy Girl Mocktail, which was a huge phenomenon earlier this year, and or whenever it was. But
Sleepy Girl Mocktail.
Yeah, so potentially problematic name, but Gracie Norton gets the OG credit, and it's a concoction for sleep. And all right, so here's the recipe. It's 100% tart. Well, it's not 100% tart cherry juice. It's the cherry juice is 100% tart cherry juice, but the mocktail isn't. And then there's magnesium powder, and then either like sparkling water or one of those prebiotic sodas. And so yeah, she kind of coined the term and the recipe, and it had its time in the sun. And apparently, some of the mechanism is there's melatonin and tryptophan in tart cherry juice. And then we already covered a lot of the magnesium stuff. But yeah, what do you think about that? And what would you kind of put in your mocktail, and what would you call it?
Oh, I like a mocktail. I have a lot of fun with that. You know, I had Lyco in the past, like a watermelon juice and lime beverage. So I'm really into I'm making good tasting things. And with frozen fruits recently, I've been blending up like everything, passion fruits, all about that, cherries. So I'm down with the Sleepy Girl mocktail in terms of the cherries. I like that. The melatonin in the cherries. That's nice. That's nice.
So did you do kind of like a pre-bedtime smoothie, or what do you mix in?
Yeah, or I like a refreshing one. Maybe like an after-workout, like watermelon, lime, mint, or something like that. Cherry's good too. All of that would be super good. I really like crystallized lime, like citric acid. Like you can just put it on stuff. They used to give it out on like JetBlue airplanes, like little packets of them. Like ever since then, I've been like, oh, these are awesome.
So more just a tasty beverage and not so much something to help you get to sleep.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing yours is lentil, vegan protein powder, magnesium, and in a glass that filters blue light.
Well, no, yeah, because I'm thinking like, I'm a princess of the pea, and I think you nailed it with the protein powder. I'm thinking I'll do a very similar sort of recipe in terms of the tart cherry juice, magnesium powder, and then a little bit of pea protein, and I'd call it Princess and the Sleep Pea, or Princess and the Pea Protein, even though you're not supposed to eat like right before bed. Either that, or I would call it the Tech 9 Hours, and I would put in 151 rum, pineapple juice, Malibu.
That's definitely not a mocktail at that point. Pretty sure when you put high proof rum in there, that's when it is not a mock anymore.
The Sweepy Boy cocktail. It's the worst.
So chills down my spine.
But no, so I probably will try that at some point. But anyways, are you ready to get into the main segment, Old Tooth?
I am ready. I'm excited about this one today.
All right, so I thought we would borrow again from sort of that medical structure that we used last time, the soap note. I mentioned soap again, and Gordy's all his hair is standing on an end. He's arching his back.
What? Arching my back? Do I like this or do I not like this?
No. So it's like, when the cat is like...
Oh, I thought you meant I was like presenting myself.
No, he's
like,
presenting himself.
Soap. Time for me to arch my back.
It's a total 180 from last week. I love soap.
Yeah. I have nothing against soap, for the record. I consider myself a good smelling, and I was complimented. I was sitting in geology class, Zed. No, it was physical science. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mislead you. Physical sciences class, where they taught some geology, to be fair. And the point was that I smelled good, and someone told me that I smelled good, and she goes, oh, Gordy, you're one of those people that always smells good. And I literally will never forget that. And so one day I might even bring it up while we're recording.
It's a pretty easy talk on to a podcast audience.
Yeah, I just don't want to make it sound like I'm shoehorning it in there to make my insecurities that you keep poking
No, I believe you, and you know it's all in good fun. And to be frank, I can't smell you right now, so I cannot confirm or deny that you always smell good. But so the SOAP note again, so it just stands for subjective, objective, assessment, and plan. So the subjective, information, history, personal experiences; objective, observable and measurable data; assessment, sort of the diagnosis or clinical impression; and then the plan is the proposed treatment plan or that course of action. So that's how we'll break down the subject today. All right. Speaking of which, Gordy, what is the subjective today?
The subject day. Today, the subject day. The subject today, Zed, is body odor. You ever heard of that?
Yeah. It just came up.
Need me to break down any of those words for you, or you got it?
I'm ready.
Well, it's body odor, folks. It's what it sounds like. So through the years, through the ages, really, there's been a lot of different takes on what body odor stands for culturally, like in medicine, spiritually, all these interesting things. So, like, for example, in the Victorian era, there was the miasma theory, like that bad air. In the Victorian England, the prevailing belief at the time was that diseases were spread through miasma, that bad air, which included like body odors or sewage smells on the street and things like that. And this led to an obsession with cleanliness. The Victorian era had like this almost or truly extreme on like neatness and cleanliness, although it's very different than what cleanliness means to us now when we know of things like germs or like things that exist that we can't see with our real eyes. But so back then, people would even carry these perfumes on them all the time. These perforated containers called pomanders, I believe, and they were filled with aromatic substances that were supposed to ward off the supposed harmful effects of the body odors and the bad odors that you smelled, which could, make you sick, they thought.
It's funny. They're like so close to being on in terms of like things being able to be spread through the air or like through smell, etc. But I'm just laughing thinking about like the social etiquette of pomanders. Like you're just talking to like a group of people or someone you just met, and you're kind of surreptitiously taking out the pomander, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, do I smell? No, I always fidget with this thing. Yeah, it's not you."
Yes, William, I can't help but notice you are clutching your pomander whenever I'm around. Well, so Zed, I know you're a big fan of Namibia, right?
Yep, big Namibia.
You're always talking about that. Where is Namibia, by the way? Just give me I know you know. Just give me a. I'm just kidding. Obviously, it is Southwest Africa. Zed and I were talking about this all day for weeks. We've been talking about it. Anyway, the Himba people of Namibia, the Himba, an indigenous group from Namibia, they have a unique approach to body odor, Zed. So, due to the scarcity of water there, they actually use something called smoke bathing. And this is when they basically burn a bunch of aromatic herbs and things like that in these mixtures of butterfat and ochre, and they apply it to their skin. This wards off the gross smells and the bad spirits and the bad energy, but it also gives a pretty distinct smell, apparently, which is very like culturally idiosyncratic to the Himba people of Namibia. So I thought that was kind of interesting how like smell as an identifier.
Yeah, and that just reminds me of like you see, what do people call it, like the saging, where they like light the bundle of sage and then kind of like brush around the house. And obviously that's a little bit different case, but how you can sort of imbue scent with these burning herbs.
Exactly.
Burning herbs.
There's that's a H in that one. Medieval European beliefs in medieval Europe, body odors was often associated with moral character. So it was believed that saints emitted a sweet, pleasant smell known as the odor of sanctity, even in death. So that, I feel like that could be easily disproven by anyone who's around a saint for a full 24 hours.
Right. Making sure they're not ducking off to the bathroom, just applying. Yeah.
Throwing a couple pomanders under his robes and stuff like that. All right. In Japan, there, and this is what I was reading, but there was kusai, which is like body odor, and it's considered highly offensive. I don't know how offensive. I don't know if it's like saying the D word or like saying the C word or maybe something worse. I don't know. But there's a strong cultural emphasis on maintaining personal hygiene. And so this has led to the development of various products and practices aimed at eliminating body odor, including deodorants. Ed, can you believe it? The Japanese are using deodorants. So basically, they have all the same stuff that we have, but what we don't have is this concept of sumahara, I think it is. And it means smell harassment, which is hilarious because at first, it's like sumahara. Is that like smell harassment? Like I'm harassing you with my smell? Like, I am so rancid smelling that you are getting harassed by me? Or is it like, Zed, you stink so much? I just don't know who's getting harassed.
Gotcha. Yeah, my intuition was like you're harassing the bad smelling person, but now that you said the first one, I think that's probably right. You're harassing other people with your smell.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting. And the more I read about that, I kind of got into some more of like these cultural norms, or how like stuff could sound rude to a Westerner, like being like they kind of smell, Westerners kind of smell bad because they eat a lot of meat or something like that. And it was something I was reading on this like this tourism website for Japan. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. They're like, all right, I guess that's nice. So we'll get into that later though, about how the actual, how diet can influence things like that. Anyway, ancient Egyptians loved smelling good stuff. Everybody, pretty much wherever you find people like things that smell good. And the indigenous Australians with eucalyptus said eucalyptus. That's my favorite. I think that's my favorite scent.
Actually?
Yeah, I think I really like a eucalyptus smell. It smells like really refreshing and like clean.
My conditioner right now is eucalyptus, so I can empathize. It does feel very fresh, and yeah.
I would love to bury my face in your hair.
The joys of remote podcasting.
Nowadays, though, in the year 2024, I checked my watch. The deodorant and antiperspirant sector generates over $1.5 billion every year. Or some years, or in a year.
That's a lot of stinky money.
I'm saying. So, yeah, you like that stinky subjective of the day, Zed?
I love it. Yeah, I was laughing thinking too about the ancient Egyptians, and it made me think. So like I haven't been around a church much, but but how the wise men came with the gifts, like the gold and then the frankincense and myrrh, like them just rolling up, being like, we know this baby is gonna freaking stink. Yeah, we got the gold, that'll be the good gift. The rest is just mask the odors. And I was doing a little bit of reading on Egypt too, and yeah, just similarly to the Himba tribe and everything, just the incense and the burning of these herbs to mask scents, but then it kind of got enfolded into the religious rites and whatnot. So that made me think back to what we were saying about all the sanctity and the saints smelling good.
That's interesting. Yeah, cool. Zed, hit us with the objective. Objectify me, my friend.
Every time. No, I'll resist. No, so Gordy, what the heck is body odor besides stinky? Well, basically, it's just a result of sort of the interplay between the excretions from our sweat glands as well as our skin's microbiome. So we're all familiar, well, maybe not all familiar, but we have bacteria and microorganisms in our gut. We call that the gut microbiome. But the skin, the same way, like our skin is home to this diverse community. There's bacteria, fungi, and even viruses, and all of those kind of collectively we call the skin microbiota. And they kind of vary in composition depending on where on the body it is. So you're like, skin microbiome in your armpit or like your groin is different than like your stomach or whatever, which is pretty fascinating.
That is interesting.
And then so you have that component, the skin microbiome, and then you have these sweat glands. So like for humans, there's two main types. There's eccrine or eccrine, and then apocrine or apocrine, English or US. But basically the eccrine glands, they're found all over the body, and these are the ones that primarily produce all like the sweat. So the more like watery, like electrolyte sort of liquid. And then the apocrine, so these are the ones that are more concentrated, where they're like hair follicles, so like your armpits and groin, and they kind of secrete this little bit grosser sounding thick milky fluid, but that fluid is more rich in proteins and fats.
describe it one more time for me, please.
Thick and milky. Okay.
Great.
So those are the two components, the sweat from those glands and the skin microbiome. And the sweat itself, or what's coming out of the glands, even if it is a little thick and milky, is generally odorless. And so the distinct scent of the microbiome or of the body odor actually arises when the compounds in that sweat are metabolized by the bacteria on the skin. So that's what contributes to the different varieties of body odors. So for example, there's this Corynebacterium species of bacteria, and they break down the sweat into these volatile fatty acids, and apparently that gives its pungent smell, or can. And then Staphylococcus species can produce more sulfur-containing compounds, which is a different kind of odor, probably that demonic one that the church was worried about. But yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the eccrine and the apocrine differences. I feel like I'm an eccrine sweater mainly. Like I'm mainly like, I think I'm like a head, lip. But but like I'm not like I don't think I'm a huge like armpit more than like an average person compared relative to how much like my head sweats and like stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think my arm. I don't like get a sweaty ass. Like I don't get like swamp ass as they call it medically. So that's good. So here, I guess I'm not that big of a piece of shit.
Blessed are ye who sweats not from the ass.
Thank you. Saintly of you. Very saintly.
But no, so basically like the sweat glands, so like to sum up, I guess the sweat glands supply the skin microbiome, which with the kind of like constituents, which then in turn generate the smelly compounds. So like, let's say, I don't know, just example, you have like a 6'5" guy, we'll say he's Latvian descent, and he sweats a ton from his upper lip. Then you have some ample fodder for BO. But yeah, the other guy I know like that smells really good all the time.
Did you hear that? Did you happen to take my middle school earth science class?
I was the one that told you smell good.
Oh my God.
It was always me.
What the fuck? It was always you.
So it's just an analogy, kind of a gross analogy. It doesn't have to be gross to kind of paint a parallel. So farts, same kind of deal. So the food that you're eating hopefully smells good or doesn't smell at all when you eat it. But then your gut microbiome, those little bacteria in there, they do their thing. And then the gas that comes out that's generated can be stinky. So BO is sort of like sweat farts. And that was one of my med school lectures, I'm pretty sure.
Sweat farts is so gross sounding. That should be your fantasy football team name this year.
Sweat farts. It sounds like a good omen.
It's pretty nice. Sounds like it'll be good. Oh, that's really interesting. Zed, do you mind if we take a quick break and hear from our sponsors today?
I do not. Thank you for asking, though.
No problem. Zed, if you're like me, you're sick of boring, gross-tasting deodorants. Introducing Snack Stick, the world's first edible deodorant. Why just smell fresh when you can taste it too? With mouth-watering flavors like Cool Ranch, Zesty Barbecue, and Spicy Buffalo, you'll be fighting off bad odors and snack cravings in one bite. Just apply, take a nibble, and you're good to go. Snack Stick, because smelling fresh is in good taste. Welcome back, everyone. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. New episodes Monday morning at Going Through Health Podcast on Instagram.
All right, Gordy, we are talking about body odor. I think it's time to break down our impressions and share some asides as part of our assessment.
You know, I love doing terrible impressions or giving impressions on soap document or on soap reports or whatever. When you're the doctor, when you do impressions, is it very highly encouraged to do voice impersonations and stuff like that?
Yeah, if you want to really kind of get into the character of your patient, and you get a lot of extra billing code opportunities if you get the voice right.
I would be adding like background sounds to my notes that I'm recording and stuff. Like an intro and outro.
That's the producer in you.
All right, well, Zed, you cannot talk about body odor, my friend, without mentioning that diet and micronutrient consumption play significant roles in the production and modulation of body odor. The foods and the nutrients we consume can influence the composition and activity of the skin microbiota, Marcus Mariota, microbiota, as well as the types of compounds excreted through sweat and through other bodily secretions. So, like you were mentioning earlier, food that's high in sulfur is going to make you stank. So, and garlic and onions, things like that. Sulfur-containing compounds such as allicin, not just a girl's name.
I was going to say Allison.
And that, obviously, don't really need to go much farther into the fact that what garlic will do to your breath and how you smell. You guys can imagine. Cruciferous, I did it, Zed. Cruciferous vegetables, such as broccoli, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts, are also sulfur-rich, and they can also make you stank. Red meat, like I touched on earlier in the Kusai segment. Diets high in red meat have been linked to stronger, more unpleasant body odors. So this is likely due to the metabolism of proteins and fats in meat, which can produce odoriferous compounds that are excreted through sweat. How do you like that? Cruciferous, odoriferous.
I like it.
Can't be stopped today.
You're getting very close to a freestyle. But no, I was just thinking those, like what they're talking about with the meat and the like proteins and fats. Those must be the apocrine glands, which we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Spicy foods. I'm a big spicy food person, but somehow I don't sweat, which is really cool. Or I don't sweat. I do sweat a lot, but I don't smell bad. So you know that. Let everyone know. But like curry, cumin, fenugreek. I actually don't know what fenugreek is. What's fenugreek? Do you know what fenugreek is?
Yeah, I actually have some in my spice cabinet, but that's about the extent of my knowledge.
All right, fair enough. That's all I need to know. It exists, but that affects body odor. And the aromatic compounds in those spices are absorbed into the bloodstream and then excreted through sweat. So basically, sweating is when you're going to get all the stank, because that's when all these stuff that you ate are now coming out. Like you were saying, it's the, what'd you call it? Sweat doo-doo?
Yeah, close enough. Sweat farts.
Apparently, there are some things though that can help with that, like zinc. Deficiency in zinc can lead to changes in body odors, often resulting in stronger, unpleasant smells. So you want to have some zinc so you don't stink.
I can remember that.
There you go. So zinc supplements, good to not smell bad. Magnesium, because we can't stop talking about magnesium. It does a ton of good things, and a deficiency in magnesium also makes you stink.
Smelly girl cocktail or mocktail.
Smelly girl cocktail.
Smelly boy cocktail. Yeah, you just add some zinc and magnesium, and yeah, B.O. be gone.
Like that a lot. Trademark that. Vitamins B1, B2, and B6. Fuck you, B3, B4, and B5.
Absolute worthless.
They're all involved in energy metabolism and breakdown of carbohydrates and proteins. And so deficiencies in those vitamins can also affect the way you smell. Lastly, Zed, dehydration. You don't drink water, guess what? You're going to smell like shit, all right? Dehydration can concentrate sweat and urine, leading to stronger and more pungent odors. All right, how do you like that? You like that? You believe me now? You believe me that diet and micronutrient consumption significantly influences the body odor through various mechanisms, including the production of volatile compounds and modulation of metabolic and microbiota activities?
I do.
Okay.
I believe you.
All right. Good.
Man, so like garlic, onions, cruciferous vegetables, red meat, spicy foods, micronutrients. I don't know. It kind of sounds like the best diet for smelling good is like straight carbs with no nutrition. Do you think that's accurate?
It's interesting. It sounds like, yeah, it really does. Like, all right.
I'm sure that would have like unintended consequences besides like malnutrition too. But yeah.
Well, you can't have too much. I mean, I think, right, if you have too much just like straight simple carbs, you could actually end up smelling sweet, I've heard, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
maybe
man.
so.
That is a professional transition.
So yeah, why don't you tell me, guy?
All right. Well, here are so these are a couple things that I came across that I found most interesting, and not exhaustive as always, but yeah, just some things that really jumped out. So certain, as you alluded to, certain distinct odors can signify specific health issues, sort of a diagnosed by smell. So I'm going to give you the diagnosis or the name of the syndrome, and I want you to guess what the smell would be. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
All right. So first one. Diabetes, specifically diabetic ketoacidosis.
All right, so ketoacidosis. You're what? Your blood's acidic. You have too many ketones in it, and
exactly.
Right. So I'm gonna guess for that ketoacidosis. You go into ketoacidosis when you don't have enough carbs, right? Or your body's not.
So yeah, so basically, if your blood sugars levels are extremely high,
because it's not using it, right?
Exactly, you're not uptaking the cells.
So I'm gonna say you're gonna smell really sweet because it's all that sugar is gonna be in your bloodstream.
Oh, that's a good mnemonic. Yeah, so you're right, fruity or sweet smell.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know that. Okay, that's cool. I mean, sucks if you have it, but cool for others.
Yeah, funny that you think it's cool to have ketoacidosis, but
well, I'm fucked up like that, man.
Ready for the next one? All right,
I'm ready.
This one is called trimethylamminuria, and also known as fish odor syndrome. Good luck guessing what this smells like.
I'm just gonna go with fish to move us along there. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, fishy smell. So basically, it's a genetic disorder, but it prevents you from breaking down trimethylamine, which is a compound with a strong fishy odor.
All right.
Next one, liver disease.
What does that smell like? Probably booze. I don't know, alcohol.
Yeah, I think
despair.
Alcohol can sound like this. yeah, despairing, musty or sweet odor. So, but basically, again, just sort of this like buildup of toxins, and the musty odor has a cool Latin name called Fedor hepaticus, which also kind of sounds like a really good Roman gladiator name.
Fedor hepaticus.
Just like super smelly guy.
That is a cool name.
the other guys in the ring are like, oh, I can't fight this guy. He's too stinky.
He's disgusting.
me, the emperor, doing my like slow thumbs down with the stinky guy.
That's fair. All right, I like that. That's cool.
All right, and then last one for now. So I'll do kidney disease. What do you think that smells like?
I actually have no idea. Kidney disease, I don't know. You smell salty. I don't know.
So it's actually an ammonia-like smell so the kidneys, if they're not functioning properly, you build up a lot of waste products, including urea. And so that's kind of a nitrogen-based waste product. And so that leads to that ammonia-like odor.
I've been doing a lot of beetroot powder and like beetroot juice to try to get that nitrogen in me that goes, purportedly changes into nitrous oxide in your cardiovascular system and it relaxes your veins and arteries. But I've heard that you could end up getting kidney stones or something from it because of the high nitrogen content. So
interesting.
Kind of interesting on that.
Definitely. Well, I'll make sure your wife smells you for any
let me know.
Like
I might not be as good of a smelling as I was when I was a young man, a young boy.
But yeah, so those are kind of some ways that you can, like, the disease processes or pathophys going on can result in different body odors. But I thought we could jump into one of the other kind of interesting area I came across was different types of deodorant and antiperspirant and some sort of like benefits or potential risks too. So is it okay if I talk to you about
Please
deodorant?
do.
All right. This is probably so foreign to you because you always smell good.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, hopefully there's someone in our audience who doesn't smell good that this is relevant.
Some stinky person's listening right now. You know who you are. Shout out to you.
To all our stinky listeners. So maybe one of the ones that we're most familiar with is aluminum containing deodorants and antiperspirants. The mechanism here is that aluminum salts, it sounds like, such as aluminum chloride, aluminum zirconium, they actually form this kind of gel-like plug in the sweat ducts. So that's how it gets at the BO, is it's if you can plug those sweat ducts, then you don't get the sweat, then you don't have your skin microbiome generating the smell. So that's kind of the antiperspirant approach, which is pretty highly effective at reducing the wetness and then secondarily the smell.
That's cool. That makes sense. I guess I just didn't really think that it was just straight up mechanical plug, basically. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And so those are the ones that typically are advertised as having the longer lasting protection because those plugs last a while. But apparently there are some issues with skin irritation. Those aluminum salts can cause allergic reactions in some people and itching and the redness. And there's also, you may have seen a lot of like deodorant advertised or antiperspirant advertised as aluminum free. And so the big reason behind that is there's this ongoing debate and studies about the potential health risks associated with aluminum compounds. So there have been some like potential links in the literature to like breast cancer and Alzheimer's. There's mixed epidemiological data from population studies, and there's been mixed conclusions, both no association or possible association of these compounds and antiperspirants with breast cancer. But there isn't a current gold standard clinical trial or anything demonstrating evidence of toxicity, but there are calls in the literature for reduction of these types of antiperspirants. So yeah, I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I just so I've been using the same deodorant my whole life. Like, I don't know. I just, whatever I picked when I was that really good smelling middle schooler, I've just got my whole life. So that would be Arm & Hammer Ultra Max. It is not like it's not like a classy, no offense to Arm & Hammer. He does the trick. Mine doesn't say anything like about like health calls out. Mine just says 50% less expensive on the top.
And what could smell sweeter than money saved?
Mine is also 19% aluminum chlorohydrate. I'm plugged up, baby. I'm plugged up, and I'm rich now that I am spending 50% less on my deodorant.
Damn, 2 for 2.
I'm really killing it.
So yeah, unlike your Arm & Hammer, there's alternatives are these aluminum-free, or you may see these alcohol-free and paraben-free deodorants. And one of the proposed or sort of selling points is reduced skin irritation. So that's not to say that people don't have reactions to these, because they do, but the sort of marketing is that there will be reduced skin irritation and reactions if you use more quote-unquote natural ingredients and avoid the potential irritants like the alcohol and the parabens. In terms of safety, so
just to stop, a paraben, because I always see that word, and I was kind of unclear what exactly a paraben is defined as a group of synthetic chemicals commonly used as preservatives in cosmetics, personal care products, and pharmaceuticals, and some food items. Their primary function is to prevent the growth of harmful bacteria, mold, and yeast, thereby extending the shelf life of products. Chemically, parabens are esters of hydrobenzoic acid. And the most common types. All right, yeah. So sounds like they're effective preservatives, but that is where the controversy is coming from as well.
Yeah, there have been a lot of studies sort of linking them, suggesting that they may disrupt hormone function and like bind to like estrogen receptors and other hormone receptors. So again, that's where these sort of alternative deodorants and antiperspirants come in with like zero paraben, zero aluminum. And they use sort of formulations like including like baking soda, arrowroot powder, coconut oil, essential oils. And those can be attractive to people sort of seeking more, again, quote unquote, natural personal care products that don't have some of these ingredients that are linked to diseases, or not diseases, but like we spoke to earlier. But yeah, so I like personally, I'm one of those people that's like, hey, I'll avoid aluminum and parabens for now, like on the off chance that they're bad, which it seems like they may be, even though it's not super conclusive, but totally open to new evidence. And if someone tells me that Army Hammer or whatever his deodorant is that he used is good stuff, then I'm back in, baby.
The number one deodorant of cannibals worldwide.
Yeah, Army Hammer.
Hopefully you eat a lot of red meat. You're going to need this Army Hammer deodorant.
Yeah, so some of the disadvantages for the non-Army Hammer, like aluminum-free stuff, there's less effective sweat control because you don't have those aluminum salts blocking those sweat glands. And then, so if you're a big-time sweater, maybe a little less effective. There's typically a little shorter protection duration. And then I have noticed this, and I came across this while I was reading too, which I thought was interesting, is that there's this adjustment period. So with each different type of deodorant, it kind of changes or morphs your BO a little bit. And so you may notice an increase in odor or like a change in odor as your body and your microbiome adapts. So that's kind of intuitive once you think about, like, if you're giving different substrate to your microbiome, it's gonna generate some different sort of smell products. But yeah, I've definitely noticed that, and not always pleasant.
That's interesting. I don't know. I've been using the same smell since 1995.
Hey, well, we got some fun ones later that we'll get to. That maybe it's time to switch it up.
And guess what? I'm still spending the exact same amount of money I spent in 1995. 50% less, folks. 50% less expensive. Like, it was expensive to start with. I like that wording. Zed, are you ready for the kicker? Can I tell you something that I thought was pretty interesting?
Kick me while I'm down, baby.
All right. Ready. The vomeronasal organ, the VNO, also known as the Jacobson's organ, or maybe it's Jacobson's organ, is a chemoreceptor organ found in many animals, and is a specialized structure located in the nasal cavity, and it plays a crucial role in detecting pheromones. And pheromones are chemical signals that influence social and reproductive behaviors. So for animals, the VNO, the vomeronasal organ, is a powerful tool for communication. For instance, in rodents, the VNO detects pheromones that trigger mating behaviors. When a female mouse is ready to knock boots, she releases specific pheromones that are detected by the male's VNO, initiating a cascade of behaviors, leading to courtship and mating, and that cascading into that female mouse. Have you ever seen cats have VNOs? Have you ever seen like a cat do this, like a weird thing where he like smells something and like open their mouth and be like,
oh yeah.
That's like them trying to open their mouth up and like get their VNO activated. So they're like breathing, breathing, weird, different, like almost like a sixth sense compared to what we have. So yeah, cats do it. So a lot of mammals use pheromones to mark their territory, establish dominance, and even signal alarm to other members of their species. And so it'd be like if you smelled me shitting my pants, you'd be like, oh no, Gordy, there's probably something wrong. We need to get out of here. Gordy's scared.
Yeah, it's the pheromones, not just the smell.
It's the pheromones. It's my VNO tingling.
Me just like next to you, like
just like tears,
making the cat face.
So yeah, those chemical signals are crucial for the survival and reproduction of many mammals, making the VNO an essential organ for these species. But Zed, I found this interesting. Unlike in many animals, the VNO in humans is a bit of a mystery. During fetal development, humans possess a VNO, but as we grow, this organ becomes vestigial, essentially a remnant with no clear function. In adults, the VNO is considered non-functional, meaning it does not play a significant role in detecting pheromones or influencing behavior. However, the concept of human pheromones hasn't been completely dismissed. Researchers have studied compounds like androstenedione, a derivative of testosterone, and estratetraenol, a form of estrogen, to see if they affect human behaviors. And so some studies suggest that these chemicals, these compounds, can influence mood and physiological arousal. In 2008, there was an actual study done, and participants consisting of women of various ages were exposed to either androstenedione or a placebo. And after exposure, typically by inhaling, the women would rate the men's attractiveness based on photographs of men or direct interactions. And the results showed that women exposed to the androstenedione rated men as more attractive compared to those who received the placebo. Additionally, there was some evidence that androstenedione affected mood and physiological responses, which could further influence social perceptions. The study also suggests that androstenedione may act as a human chemo signal, contributing to the ongoing debate about the role of pheromones in human behavior. Isn't that so? That sounds like there's like something there. There might be like some little thing there.
Yeah, you'd have to think so. Like, it's interesting that they're calling it vestigial. Because I remember like there's like the famous experiment that I feel like you always learn in Intro to Psych or something, where they exposed like women to their partners, used like t-shirts and gauged preferences, and then the like control group was the women went off their birth control, and their preferences for the scent on the shirt changed. And I'm butchering this a little bit.
I remember.
Does that sound familiar?
The gist of it, yeah.
Yeah. And so whether it's pheromone or like a more just regular scent as we conceive of the phenomenon, I just think it's so fascinating, this communication and signaling by smell.
But yeah, when I was looking it up and researching androstenedione and estratetraenol, there was a ton of different perfume ads came up that purported to contain it and things like that. So I don't know. I mean, it sounds interesting. Sounds, marketable too. So who really knows? But yeah. So despite those findings, the evidence does remain mixed. And the role of pheromones in human behavior is still a topic of active research and debate. So yes, the VNO in animals is a vital organ for detecting pheromones and essential for behaviors like mating and territory marketing. In humans, however, the VNO is considered vestigial, does not have any clear functional role, but science is still testing it. And also, Zed, I want to say to anyone listening who can email GordyandZed@gmail.com the word androstenedione, I will give you a shout out in a recording next month.
Yeah, and how to pronounce it.
Please do. And you will get that shout out from us.
I was going to guess like androstenedione, because like andro or like the
you see the andro, and then you have the diane, like there's a 2, and then the one ending, so that's a ketone ending or the steroid ending.
Yeah.
So Zed, that's some ways you could use your smell to your advantage. What if you don't want to smell?
Never crossed my mind, but so we know why you can get that, why we get the stanky stank, but how do we prevent others from not wanting us to smell you later? So we covered sort of antiperspirants and deodorants. There's also topical antibiotics. So again, you can imagine that mechanism working where if you use a topical antibiotic and it kills your skin microbiome, there's not going to be sort of that smell generated. A couple of the other ones that I thought were really fascinating. There's this botulinum toxin injections. So we know those as like Botox injections, but that works through basically paralyzing the sweat glands. And so that significantly reduces the sweat production in those areas where you inject. So that's a little bit more invasive route to take. There's also laser treatments. Similarly, you functionally destroy the sweat glands. So you're not going to be able to cool yourself down maybe quite the same way, but you will have less sweat production. And
that seems risky to me. Like, I don't know if my like sweatiness, like although annoying sometimes when I don't want to be sweaty, I don't know if I would stop it, because I'm sure I get used. I mean, my body needs it clearly. I have a big engine that's going really hard. And, so I don't know. I'll probably overheat without it, though, I feel like.
Yeah, for me, like I don't mind like being sweaty. It's definitely the BO that's my main consideration. And so, the laser would not be appealing. And then interestingly, which kind of matches up to what we've been talking about, the probiotic supplements. So not even just skin application, but actually ingesting microbiome supplements. There's some evidence to suggest that applying or ingesting these these elements can help reduce body odor. So again, maybe a little bit of a component of my smelly boy mocktail that I'm working on.
That's I'm shocked that we've got through this entire podcast without mentioning the fact that when I saw you for your wedding in Hawaii and we were going out like a little bachelor night, you put Purell in your hands and you rubbed Purell into your armpits instead of using deodorant.
Yeah, I think this is a good place to talk about that, which is not.
I've been holding that in for months, man. I really need to get this out.
So just to be clear, it's like a last resort kind of thing. But again, very similar to the concept that we talked about with the topical antibiotics.
I had probably an extra Arm & Hammer with me. You could have easily asked for that. Would you rather use something that's 50% less expensive, or would you just rather use something that is meant to clean your hands when you're in a hospital?
I think you'll find the hospital stuff is free.
Oh, that's a good point. That's true.
Can't beat the price of Purell everywhere. No, so again, like just kind of like killing that bacteria. But I don't normally do that for all you people who write in emails about how to pronounce the other thing, and don't get me started on the Purell. But I did actually come across some other really like funny things that people use. Well, not funny. It could be very serious.
Let's see it. Tell us something funny, guy.
Some other things that people use for deodorant. So
make us laugh, clown.
Perfect. I'd thrive under this.
Yeah, everyone likes that. Yeah. Sing for us, Zed.
So, all right. So, apple cider vinegar. So, it's often touted for its antibacterial properties, but apparently some people use it as a natural deodorant and just like will put it on like a cotton ball and dab it under their arms. And the reasoning or sort of the mechanism I came across was that it can help balance the skin's pH and sort of reduce the growth of that bacteria. So,
is that assuming that our skin is basic?
I guess it's just assuming that the pH is somehow out of whack, or maybe it's too basic, and that
it's like a buffer.
But smart, totally normal old me came across that tidbit while I was sitting next to my wife on the couch at like 8 p.m. And so the view from our couch, like you can see the entire rest of the apartment, like the kitchen and everything. And so like a light bulb the size of Thomas Edison popped above my head when I read that. And I was like, apple cider vinegar. We have some of that in our fridge. And so I do the thing where I get up and like slowly walk to the fridge. Do you know how like chameleons walk along a branch? Like they do the very slow sort of like stutter so nothing can see that it's moving. There's no predators detect it. So it's kind of like doing that walk to the fridge, and then very surreptitiously take out the apple cider vinegar below sort of the level of the island so my wife can't see, and then grab a quick piece of paper towel, do a quick blot on the paper towel, and I get to the point where I'm about to go under my shirt to do it, and I hear like those very four scary words that no one wants to hear, like, "What are you doing?" Turn around with one hand under my shirt and like my other arm up, just getting ready to put it on. And I was like, just trying this thing. And so at that point, I just went through with it. And she's like, "What do you mean?" And so I was like, "Oh, I was reading, you can put on apple cider vinegar in your armpits. It can help." And so, Gordy, you're not going to believe this, but it took away all the BO.
Really?
But it did replace it with a very strong apple cider vinegar smell. Like, it smelled like freaking like Gwyneth Paltrow's salad dressing. It was very strong, and it smelled like so strong. And I tried to wipe it off afterwards, but still incredibly strong apple cider. It smells like I don't know, like work in a apple cider vinegar factory.
Damn it! Your similes are nuts.
Nailed it. And but like the even worse part is I don't mind being weird and for my wife, but then I had to take the dog out, and so you have to ride these elevators to the dog patch area. And so I was like, oh my god, I hope I don't run into someone I know. If it's someone I know, I can at least be like, oh yeah, no, I was just putting on apple cider vinegar as deodorant. But if it's like people I don't know and they just get this extremely strong waft as soon as I walk in, like there's no way to like.
That's funny though. I actually like the taste of apple cider vinegar.
Then you're gonna love my armpits.
So, my kitchen smells. We have a thing of apple cider vinegar right next to me, like catching
the fruit flies.
Yeah. So it always smells like an apple cider vinegar factory in here.
Oh, I know the smell well.
You know the smell where they make apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, me walking around just like fruit flies following me, but no BO. So yeah, I thought that one was funny. We have a couple more here. Did you want to, or anyone just jumped out to you?
No, the crystal one was the weirdest. Crystal deodorant stones. They say crystal deodorant stones that are made from natural mineral salts, such as potassium, alum. These stones are believed to create a protective barrier that prevents the growth of odor-causing bacteria. Users wet the stone and apply it to their underarms. Does that? I mean, that sounds like just fucking stupid.
It does. Like, I'm trying to.
Is there anything? I mean, why would a wet I don't get it. I guess they're thinking that some of the salts are coming off of it.
I suppose the mineral salts is like similar to like the magnesium salts, so maybe they kind of act as that plug for the antiperspirant component. But that's the only thing I can think of.
pH too, probably
Potentially, but it is kind of like just wiping a stone.
I think crystals also are just like automatically kind of like the craziest or like the wildest, like just the word.
Hey, if you like crystals and you like the podcast, that's fine too.
Yeah, actually, that's great.
We just very, very elegantly covering our ass for all our crystal listeners.
It's like, man, we'll see you guys at the Crystal Deodorant Expo next month, everyone.
but no, those I don't know. I just thought those were really interesting. There's also this witch hazel one, but apparently witch hazel is a natural astringent and has some anti-inflammatory properties, but no idea. I think it's like a tree or a bush, but that's about the extent of I know about as much about fenugreek as I do about witch hazel.
Do you don't have witch hazel in your cabinet?
No, I hope I don't get them confused now. Me just putting fenugreek under my arms.
Be careful.
But yeah, so basically these have unclear or tenuous scientific backing, but people find them effective, and everybody's body chemistry is different. Your crystal body chemistry, your witch hazel body chemistry. And so, but yeah, also one actually actionable bit of advice: if you're going to try something new, do it on a very small area of skin in case you get a bad reaction. But yeah, knock yourself out.
That's some good advice right there. Zed, before we wrap up our talk about body odor, Dr. Zed, what are the GTH big 3 bangers for the day?
All right, so our big 3 BO bangers for the day. Number 1, I stink, therefore I am. So
very good.
Just want to let you guys know, BO is totally normal. It's a natural result of physiological processes. We can't all smell good all the time, like my co-host. Yeah. And again, it's the combination of sort of those gland ingredients, the sweat and the proteins, the lipids, and those are kind of chefed up by the skin microbiome. And those results of the chef skills of the microbiome result in those tasty odors.
Odor. Oh, I like that. That was a good one.
So I stink, therefore I am. Number 2. Smell what's cooking. So BO is dynamic, which we kind of discussed. It can be impacted by multiple factors on and below the level of our skin surface. So again, there's the composition of the skin microbiome, the composition of your gland excretions based on diet and micronutrient deficiencies, also underlying health issues. We touched on the fish one and liver and kidney stuff. So again, those are all components that result in the smell we generate. Number 3. All right. So number 3, be cool and smell like a cucumber or whatever else you want to smell like. Basically, deodorants and antiperspirants work by sort of these different processes. And there's some different things you can consider when selecting one. So stopping that excretion of the sweat versus inhibiting or covering up the smell. That's your antiperspirant versus deodorant. And again, in terms of ingredients, we talked about aluminum, parabens versus some of those more what we think of as like naturally occurring ingredients that haven't been synthetically produced, like coconut oil or those essential oils for fragrance. So different considerations, and to each their own. But yeah, just wanted to get that all out there to summarize.
Now that's healthy.
All right. Thanks for that, Zed. Now I'm excited because it is time for the GTH Quiz Show. Well, hello and welcome to GTH Quiz Show. All right, Zed.
It's real.
Yeah, it's real. So I have some questions to ask you, courtesy of Merriam-Webster Dictionary. These questions will test your knowledge of all words smelly. Are you correct? Are you ready?
I'm correct and ready.
I'm cheering for you. All right. You ready for the first question?
Ready.
Foul-smelling tobacco is, it will be a word now, so foul-smelling tobacco is A, smell fungus, B, leaf fungus, C, fungus, or D, mundungus. Which one of those words, smell fungus, leaf fungus, fungus, or mundungus, mean foul-smelling tobacco?
You know what? So mundungus, I know, is that POS from Harry Potter who freaking stole the Slytherin locket. But I know like J.K. Rowling draws on a lot of like etymology for her names. And so I'm going to guess it is Mundungus.
That is absolutely correct.
Really put me on tenterhooks there.
Build the suspense. Mundungus refers to foul-smelling tobacco and can also mean trash or garbage. It is archaic, like in a sentence like, damn, that tobacco you have there is straight mundungus, my man.
I'm a genius.
All right. Second question, Zed. Something that is alliaceous has the smell of A, alcohol, B, menthol, C, cabbage, or D, garlic.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That's how I remember. It's garlic. No, I just remember. Is it? Oh, there's the bing of victory.
It is garlic. It is derived from the Latin word allium. That vampires get mighty weird when they encounter the alliaceous smell of my kitchen.
Sweet.
All right, Zed, you're 2 for 2. All right, this next one, I think this gets a little bit tougher, maybe. Nidor, 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 refers to the smell of A, burning meat, B, sulfur, C, burning tires, or D, swamp gas.
Oh, was it? So it's burning meat, sulfur, swamp gas,
and burning tires.
Burning tires. Nidor.
Nidor, Nidor.
Nidor. The Knights of Nidor ride forth. Maybe that's Gondor. I'm just gonna say burning tires. I have no clue.
All right, burning tires. Let's see if that is correct.
I'm so stupid.
I'm sorry, Zed. It is burning meat. Nidor. So historically, nidorosity referred to a burp with the taste of undigested roast meat. You know, anything with a roasting of meat. So, like in a sentence, it's like the nidor of roast duck filled the kitchen. Yum yum yum. It's Christmas time, boys.
Yeah, I have heard that before.
You know, like in the sentence. That's you're probably familiar with it now.
Christmas.
All right. Now the next question, Zed. An egg that is rotten and foul-smelling is referred to as A, ossified, B, rundle, C, addle, or D, muddled.
These are hard.
Ossified, rundle, addle, or muddled for a rotten, foul-smelling egg.
Rundle or addle. I'm going to guess addle, but again, have ossified. Maybe I'll switch to ossified because that's the only one I recognize. All right, I'm going to switch to ossified. Ossified egg. Let's see. Ossified. Final answer.
Ossified. I think that has to do with bones, I feel like. Addle. It was addle. The term has been used for nearly 800 years to describe a rotten and foul-smelling egg. The extremely hot and dry weather had caused the eggs to addle, but we ate them anyway because it's the past.
Damn, my brain is addled.
All right, Zed. Here we go. Our second to last question. Someone who is hircine or hircine smells like A, frog, B, goat, C, dog, or D, horse.
Hircine. Hircine does sound like horse. Hircine. But I feel like that would be equine. All right. There's goat, horse. Was it duck or was that from a previous sentence?
It's either frog, horse, or dog.
Horse or dog. I'm gonna guess goat.
Goat, is that your final answer?
It depends on whether I got it right.
Whoa!
Final answer.
You did. Hircine. And then there are terms also for like ovine would be for describing something sheep-like, resembling a sheep. So goat, hircine. So you could say like an unpleasant hircine odor emanated from the hunter's clothing. He knew the goats had been wearing his clothes again.
A podcast host applied Arm & Hammer to cover his hircine stench. Could that be?
That's right. That's right. Hypothetically. All right, Zed, the final question of the GTH Quiz Show is I'm looking for a term for an animal that produces a foul odor. And this is an actual type of animal. Is it an Ipsian? Is it a musk knocker? Is it a fellwort? Or is it a stinkard?
Stinkard. I hope it's fellwort. Yeah, fellwort. All right, so stinker, fellwort, ipsum.
And Musk Knocker.
Musk Knocker. Elon Musk Knocker.
She had a couple Musk Knockers.
God. Let's see. I'm going to say the one I initially said, which I already forgot.
Fellwort?
Fellwort. Oh, I don't like that face. Oh, no.
It was stinkered.
Stinkered,
this refers specifically to the teledu, a small carnivorous mammal found in Java and Sumatra that resembles a badger. So it'd be like saying, oh no, here comes a teledu, also known as a stink badger, also known as a stinkered. I wonder if it smells good.
I was going to say, not very subtle. Old stinkered over here.
Well, Zed, you did a good job. You weren't quite as stinkered.
No.
Could have been worse. It could have been worse. But you got through it. And more importantly, Zed, you can probably hear that music. And I'm guessing you know what that music means. It is time for our fast fire questions.
Gordy and Zed's fast fire questions.
Alrighty, Zed. As always, we kick off our fast fire questions with the first question, which is, would you rather?
Would you rather?
Zed, would you rather always smell bad to other people, but you couldn't smell it yourself? Or would you rather have a bad smell in your nose, but you smell fine to other people?
All right, so real quick, I want to revisit something from earlier that I didn't mention, which is that there's this interesting concept or way, this threshold for body odor perception. So it can actually be varied from one individual to another. So sometimes body odor can be unnoticeable to an individual, as that person can develop a specific anosmia. So you can actually sort of have this, not really learned behavior, but become sort of resistant to noticing or unable to smell your own BO, whereas other people can still smell it. So that your question reminded me of this. I would have to say, I would way rather have a bad like smell in my nose, but like not smell bad to other people, smell fine to other people. Just because like I'll deal with that, I'll wear with that. I feel like I would get used to it eventually. Hopefully, even like build up an anosmia. But yeah, I would way rather that than just like be stinky everywhere and people call me a stinkered. And yeah, that'd be worse. Stinkered Zed. There he goes.
There he goes again. He's also named him as the stink badger.
There goes that apple cider factory worker. Yeah.
That's a great answer, Zed, and that is the correct answer that I was looking for today.
Oh,
you are right.
Yes.
You are right.
Oh, thanks for
You don't want to
to
be, it really just depends on how much you like other people. I would rather just manage my smell by myself in my own mind and not be like offensive and doing that smell shaming or humiliation or smell harassment to other people.
Yeah, I don't want other people thinking I'm like unholy or like demonic or anything.
Exactly. All right, Zed. It is now time for our next question, which is, would it kill me?
Would it kill me?
Zed, would it kill me if I only drank chlorinated water for a week? Now, this question is inspired by a cat I saw that lived by this pool bar in South Padre Island and didn't look good, didn't look healthy, looked like he had feathers, kind of pretty old, only drank pool water. That got me going. I was like, oh, genius. I had asked Zed about this. Would it kill me if I only drank chlorinated water, like a pool, for a week?
Huh. So I'm just trying to think, the cat with feathers, was that like a griffin or something? But safe for griffins, obviously. But no, for people, you probably won't.
Its actual name was Tequila Rain. Just want to let you know. That's true.
Wow. Damn. Bless up for Tequila Rain.
Yeah.
So you likely like are not going to die, but you could get pretty messed up. And I wouldn't rule out death. So there's a bunch of potential health risks. So namely, like the chemical exposure, chlorine. That's what it's in the pool because it's a disinfectant and kills like the bacteria and pathogens, but it can also like wreak havoc on your GI. You get nausea, vomiting, stomach pain. And then there's these byproducts of the chlorine reacting in the water with other organisms or organic material in the water. And those byproducts are also extremely bad. And then forgetting about just the chlorine, there's a lot of pathogens and other microbial contamination in the water. And like Tequila Rain, drinking out of there, he or she is putting his pathogens in there. There's viruses, and then there's other chemicals like the algicides and the pH adjusters. So all that to say, you are probably going to get pretty darn sick, like your diarrhea, your nausea and vomiting, your abdominal pain, coughing, swallowing. But if that sounds fun to you, or if you don't have another choice, I don't think you would die, but you could be pretty close. But I thought it was funny. I looked up too, just because I was curious what some of the like advisory boards and stuff say. And it literally goes, here, let me find it. It goes, Avoid drinking pool water. It is best to avoid drinking pool water altogether. Stick to properly treated and safe drinking water sources.
Avoid is kind of soft language. Avoid is like, it's not like don't do it. It's like if you just like try not to, but like whatever. If you get a glass cup and you dip it in the water and you start chugging and you can't, no one can stop you. Like whatever, it happens.
If the cat looks fine, like you're probably fine.
No, that cat was not fine, Zed. That cat ended up passing away, but lived way longer than Tequila Rain was supposed to, and we bow our heads to you, Tequila Rain, on this fine day. Zed, it is time for our next question, which is S the D. Not a question, but it is S the D.
Shock the Doc.
That's right, Shock the Doc. You know, Joe Flacco, NFL season coming up on us. Joe Flacco, 39-year-old QB, potentially in his last season in the NFL, is making strides now in player safety with a new type of cleat designed to reduce ankle injuries, partnering with Cadix. Flacco is promoting cleats that feature smart studs technology, which aims to lower the incidence of ACL, MCL, and high ankle sprain injuries. So this technology helps reduce torque on the artificial turf, where injuries are more common than natural grass due to the high breaking point of turf. So you can't, like, when you dig your cleat in, you can't get that give. You can't break through the soil like you can with natural grass, like, you know, letting your foot get out of the twisted position. Instead, you get hooked in there into the turf and ripped around. So this allows you to, so the smart stud technology, the purpose is to reduce those ACL, MCL, high ankle span injuries. But how it works was reducing foot torque. So it's actually just on physically just trying to put less torque on your foot, on your knees, on your ankles and stuff like that. And so apparently what it's saying is that it is addressing these rates, and we were going to see lower injuries or lower injury rate than we have in the past on artificial surfaces.
Huh. That's really interesting. Smart studs. So are the like studs themselves like more flexible, or like know when to like give or provide like cushioning, or I guess, do you know any more behind that tech?
No, hell no, dude. No, but I was trying to think of that. I can't imagine them having like floppy spikes. You know, I'd imagine they would have to be either like maybe shorter spikes.
Yeah.
Or could they be like slippery? I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting. No, I mean, I think that's really cool, and like obviously a huge issue. You see all the like players union and stuff with all the turf like findings and whatnot, and all the owners just being like, no, we'll keep it turf.
Right.
But no, that can color me shocked. And smart studs technology is that the tech that we use?
Yeah. So we are the smart studs, so we got to sue them. So what it looks like, looking at it looks like they're like very flexible cleats. Like, so it's like they kind of like bend. So maybe not like on the bottom, but like around your foot and stuff. And they kind of move. They're pretty cool looking. Pretty cool stuff that I look forward to seeing if it actually makes a difference. Zed, this is a fun episode. I had a blast today.
No, that was so much fun. Yeah, the only other like cleat like technology I know is when I was like 8 and played soccer, and the guy at the like soccer cleat store was selling me on these kangaroo leather cleats, because the kangaroo leather is supposed to mold really well to your feet. But now I know one other thing about cleat technology.
Good. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening to Going Through Health with Gordy and Zed. Listen each week on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. New episodes available each Monday morning. Follow us on Spotify. Give us 5 stars. Zed, you are in charge of that. Are we getting a lot of 5 stars?
Oh, yes. Exclusively 5 stars.
Nice.
And they've actually done a lot of studies that are showing giving 5 stars to your favorite podcast can increase your longevity and quality of life.
Hey, you heard it here first. At Going Through Health Podcast on Instagram. Follow us. Any questions, or you want to try your hand at Androstadianone, email us at GordyandZed@gmail.com. We will answer them. Any questions you have, or at least we'll try. And thanks so much, Zed.
Thank you. And I'll see you in health.
Oh yeah, baby. Later.
Hey, this is Zed. This podcast is intended solely for general informational purposes and does not represent the provision of medical advice or the practice of any professional healthcare services. No clinician-patient relationship is formed. Nice try. And the use of the information provided or materials linked is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not meant to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should seek medical advice for any health issues they may have and should consult their healthcare providers for any such concerns.